Hey guys, Ceci here. So I wanted to make this two-part video about fear because fear is such an important fundamental block for us to be able to go after the goals that we want, the relationships that we desire, and overall just living a more fulfilling life. So if you're someone who's looking to understand fear and overcome it, then these two videos are going to be for you. So the first thing that we need to know is, what is fear? Fear is an emotion, and it's one of our 7 universal emotions that we all carry. And psychology describes it as an emotional response to a perceived threat in our environment, whether real or imagined. So what happens to our brain and bodies when this threat gets detected? Well, this dangerous stimulus triggers the emotional response, which causes certain parts of our brain to react unconsciously. The sensory immediately gets delivered through a part of our brain called the thalamus, which then quickly gets processed through the amygdala, causing us to physically react through sharper awareness, increased heart rate, adrenaline release, which then causes the behavior of the fight or flight or freeze actions. Now these are innate fears and they're good to have, right? Because we understand that if we go on a mountain, we're gonna be scared of falling. Why? Because our body knows how to protect us, our brain knows how to protect us, right? The fear of falling, the fear of snakes, we know to avoid these dangerous stimulus, these triggers, if we want to stay alive. So those are innate fears. But what about the other fears? The ones that we have that literally can paralyze us emotionally, mentally, to be able to go after the dreams, the relationships that we want. Those are called learned fears. They're called adaptive fears in psychology. And the thing is that we learn these through experience, fear-based rules, or conditional love. And I'll give you one example of the experience one. So let's say that we have a baby, right? And he's so excited, he's playing around, and then he sees the stove and he's like, oh, what's going on up there, right? And let's say that the stove is on and it's hot and he touches it. So what's gonna happen now is he's going to get burned, and he's going to connect the stove with pain, hurt, and burn, and he's going to learn to avoid that dangerous stimulus from now on. Let's talk about the other ones. What about the fear-based rules and the conditional love? We usually tend to learn these ones from our childhood or our caretakers. Now, I know that many parents do not mean to be mean or tell their kids things that sound harsh, but we tend to take the not so best approach. And I'll give you an example for that one. I've heard this firsthand, and I've had conversations with other mothers who have heard this as well. And it usually is, if you don't sit your butt down, I am going to leave you here. If you do not listen, if you don't be quiet, stop crying, you're too sensitive, well then of course someone's going to learn that, hey, something's wrong with me, hey, I'm inherently bad, and if I need, if I want my mommy or my parents or my caretakers to love me, then I need to strip myself from all of these imperfections and all of these behaviors. But the thing is that a child doesn't really know. They're going through the process of learning, and we need to find the best approach of what child learns how. You know what I mean? How does that child learn? Those are all very important things when we're talking to children. But nonetheless, these fears get put in us, and because we're so young and we're not aware of what's going on, we accept it, we eat it all as truth, right? And we want our parents' love, so we tend to start thinking, hey, that we're inherently bad. And since we don't heal this, we tend to carry it into adulthood through our subconscious. When we carry it into our subconscious, what happens is we tend to become overachievers, perfectionists, or some people become avoidance, avoidant attachment style. They tend to become very needy, clingy, because they feel that they're not worthy of love, you know, and that they're inherently bad. And then we also tend to take it into relationships. We tend to think that, hey, someone's not gonna love us the way that we want to be loved. But let's say that we take this into relationships. Let's say that we get into a relationship, right? And what happens is that we get cheated on. You know, we can get betrayed, we can get lied to, we can get ghosted, whatever you want to put it, right? So then once that happens to us, we connect love engenders as a dangerous stimulus. And what I mean by this, I'm sure you've heard people that say all men are cheaters, all women are cheaters, screw love, love isn't for me, I don't want a relationship. And that is now the experience that we did go through in that moment was very an unfortunate event, and it does condition us to try to avoid this stimulus as much as possible because we didn't get the outcome that we wanted. And the mind is so good at reminding us of the experiences, the pain, the hurt, the rejection, and it's just something that we never want to go through again, right? And that's normal. We get it. I've been there before. But if we don't heal these type of traumas, then we tend to take them and take that approach for everything that we want to do in our lives. And I'll even give it to you, the baby who literally burnt his hand, you know, that is a very real threat, and we should avoid those type of things, right? But what about when these adaptive learned fears become maladaptive? Maladaptive can be excessive. There's even a fear of fear, you know, and some of these maladaptives can go into anxiety, PTSD, but we're not going to get into all of that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generalize, and I'm going to generalize it in the next video. So make sure you stick around for part 2 that's going to be coming out shortly right after this one, and I'll see you in the next video.